All right, let's go into the next lesson. We had gone over Fort Loudon and what that was like, the founding of it, and how it goes through its whole period of time. Now we're back to the reasons for the revolution. We started talking the other day about how after the French and Indian War is going to be the opening shot of them starting to make us mad about being English. And the best way I can describe it to people is it's like being an American. Right now, I am a proud American, very proud American. And is everything in America exactly the way I want it? No, but I'm still proud to be an American. It's just like your families, your schools. Yeah, it's never perfect, but it's yours, isn't it? And so proud to be an American, but if they start stomping on my liberties, there's going to be a point that I'm through being an American. If they came today and they stopped taking our freedom of speech away, which they're pushing towards, and all of a sudden that's taken away, man, I'm an American, but man, that's just rough. And then all of a sudden, if they take our guns away, there's going to be people at that point that go, you know what? I'm going to Canada. I'm done with this. I'm not going to have that in my country. Then if I'll be honest, my point would be they take away freedom of religion. I am a proud American, but I'm done. I'll go to another country at that point because you stepped on my toes too much to where I'm not proud of this anymore. That's what's about to start right now. They're going to step on their toes and step on their toes and step on their toes and hurt these guys to the point where you're going to start to see the patriots come forth. The opening shot is the proclamation of 1763 when they take away the land for the people west of the Appalachians. People like Daniel Boone, that's his tipping point. He's mad now. He is no longer proud to be English. He's proud American. He's a patriot. He wants his own country. And so that's what we're going to start to see. You're going to start to see them pushing away and pushing away and pushing away to where they begin to make them mad to where they leave. Remember, once again, we finished on this yesterday and everything. If you are a patriot, another name for you is a Whig. If you are a loyalist, another name for you is Tory. And I'll be honest, I'm a patriot, love America, but I understand the loyalist. Because right now, like I say, I'm a proud American, but it could get to the point I'm not. They were proud British. It's going to get to the point they're not. When the war starts, we think of everybody wanting to be involved and, oh, we're going for independence. Actually, at the beginning of the war, it's only about a little over 1/3 of them are wanting to be patriots. But once the war is going and England keeps doing stuff to us and passing laws on us and pushing, by the end of the war, we're about 90% patriots. Our country swings during this time away from wanting to be told what to do and the American spirit starting to come forth into our lives. So let's go to the next slide. There is, look on your own Google Classroom, that shows you the points of patriot and a loyalist and what they're thinking. It's quite interesting to read through it on your own. And let's go then to where here we were. Prime Minister Grenville has decided that England is saddled with all this massive debt from the French and Indian War. The only way to take care of it is to have the Americans pay for it. Not the people in India. Oh no, that's fighting going on over there, but no, don't tax them. Not the people in Africa, not the people in the Caribbean. Definitely not the people in England. Oh my, they're so much better than those Americans. So what we'll do is have the Americans pay for everything. That's not going to work. That's not going to work at all. It's kind of like 8th grade. Let me say this. I use this example in my classroom today. If today we're paying for lunch, let's say we're paying $2 a piece, and all of a sudden they came on the announcements and say, you know what? 6th and 7th doesn't have to pay for its lunch. 8th grade's going to pay 3 times the amount. And so we're going to have to pay $6. You know, there'll be some people go pay $6 for lunch, but you know what? Most of us are going to pack a lunch. Whether I got money or not, I'm packing my lunch on principle that you're not going to treat me worse than you do 6th or 7th grade. And that's exactly what's going on here. They literally said to pay for this debt, yeah, 8th grade, America will pay for that. Not the 6th British, not the 7th English, no, they're not paying for it. You're paying for it. And guess what we're about to do? We're about to pack our lunch. Because the first one they passed, 1765, is the Stamp Act. This is not a tax on stamps. This is anything paper, and they put a stamp on it to know that you've paid. We do this in America today. You will have what's called a stamp tax. If you have ever bought ammo, when you go to buy the shells, there is a little green sticker over the opening flap. That is a stamp tax. Why do they tax ammo? We'll pay for it. I'm not going to not have ammo. Even if the price goes up, I will pay the extra. If you add more taxes and the price goes up, I will pay that until it gets to the point I can't. So they tax things they know you're going to buy. The other thing, I hope you have not seen this one, but on cigarettes, there is a stamp across the top of the pack. That is a tax stamp. With cigarettes, it's like the people are addicted. They're going to keep buying them. And some of you get that, some of you don't. What they do with the Stamp Act is they start taxing paper. And just like I said, we're going to find ways around it. When they start taxing anything paper and there's a tax on playing cards, we start making our own. If I told you today we're taxing playing cards, y'all going home and cutting out cardboard, drawing little hearts and spades on them and stuff like that, and making your own dadgum playing cards. And that's exactly what America's going to do. They're going to tax newspapers. And we're going to talk about a guy today called Sam Adams. He's an American hero. Love the man. He's going to start something called the Committee of Correspondence. And we're not going to buy newspapers. We're going to buy one per town. And then that dude's going to read it to everybody. We're going to keep towns in touch with news ourselves. I'll write something down to you on paper I already have, or reused paper I already have, and send you something so you know what's going on. But I ain't buying any dadgum newspaper. I ain't buying any dadgum will or anything like that. Are people still getting married in this day and age? Yeah, by the preacher, but they ain't paying your tax on your marriage license. I ain't gonna pay it. So we, as Americans, begin to work our way around the taxes, and that's just making the British mad, because the whole effort is to make us pay for it, and the American spirit's finally coming through where, guess what? We ain't paying for it. So, Stamp Act is the first one they try. If you check this out, I love this top left up there. You've got a red one that shows you the 1 penny on it. That is a British tax stamp. And then you see the one off to the side. Yeah, we start making our own stamps and putting over top of their stamps, because that's just funny. Ours have skull and crossbones on them. So we were letting them know, we don't appreciate your taxes. We don't appreciate this. So keep going. Now we get to the Sons of Liberty. The Sons of Liberty, the only way I can describe this to you is America's first biker gang. That is exactly what they are. They are led by a man named Sam Adams. He is the one who helped start the Whig Party. He also starts the Sons of Liberty. He is a signer of the Declaration of Independence. He is a signer on the Articles of Confederation. We should remember this man as one of the greatest American heroes of all times. Sadly, we remember him as the beer dude, because Sam Adams has a beer out there. To give you the background on that, it comes from Boston. About 35 years ago, a man started a microbrewery in Boston. And if you've ever been to Boston, everything is named Sam Adams, because as you're about to find out, he's probably one of their greatest heroes. And so if you're selling something in Boston, to have the name Sam Adams on it is a smart idea. And so the beer comes out with his name, but then it ends up being nationwide. And sadly, that's all people know of him today. He really should be revered as one of the leaders of this revolution, one of the biggest leaders of this revolution. He's born in September 27th of 1722. He actually is a very smart guy, goes to Harvard. He has to write a thesis paper. It's a big paper when you graduate and everything. And this should let you know his attitude is implanted in him early. One of the things his paper is written about. Now remember, at this time, Harvard is a British school at this time. His thesis paper is things I don't like about the British. If you're going to write a biography for me, don't turn one in called Mr. Nichols, the rottenest teacher on the face of the earth. Why I don't like him. Probably not going to give you the best grade on that. But Sam Adams don't seem to care. So when he's told to write a thesis, he's like, things I don't like about you. And that's the title of his paper. And he does get out of college, and then he marries a lady named Elizabeth Cheekley. They have 6 children together, and she dies. He then marries a lady named Elizabeth Wells, and then they're married together, which is smart. If your first wife is named Elizabeth and your second wife's name's Elizabeth, you don't have to change monograms. You don't have to change the letters on the mailbox. Perfectly good. So don't even have to learn a new name. So he marries 2 Elizabeths and everything like that. His jobs that he had, his first job is at a custom house. He will get fired from that for telling people off a lot. He has an attitude. Really has an attitude. His next job, he starts his own business as a merchant. That fails after about a year. Why? He likes to tell people off. Then he worked at a brewery. Yes, he did have something to do with beer for only 6 months. And he's fired from that job. It goes bankrupt. He's no good with that either. Then he's going to take another job we'll talk about in just a second. But there's why he's associated with all that. But Sam, the next job he takes is tax collector. And you're thinking, wait a minute, this man's dead set against taxes. Taxes are done this way. You were told everybody has to pay X amount of dollars, and you go around and collect the money from everybody. And at the end of the year, you give the money to the government, and then the government gives you a little bit of it in this day and age, and that's how you get paid. Most tax collectors would charge double and triple on their people, and that's where they made a lot of money. So people hate the tax collectors. But Sam Adams takes a job as a tax collector, and at the end of the year, the British government comes to him and is like, hey, we would like the money, give us the taxes. And he goes, oops, I forgot to tax everybody. He didn't tax anybody the entire year. Boston did not pay taxes on the end of this year. The British are pretty mad. The British are irate at him for this because, I mean, he basically just let everybody get scot-free. You're starting to see why Boston kind of likes him. Now he's responsible for that. And the British look at him and say, listen, you're kind of well off. We're going to sell your house. We're going to sell your horses. We're going to sell all your furniture. We're selling everything you own. And we're going to use that money to pay off the taxes. And if there's any left over, we keep it because you're now bankrupt, penniless, nothing. And that's the punishment. And Sam is fine with that. Sam's like, yeah, okay, that's good. I mean, you're starting to see a guy that would give up everything for the American cause of freedom. He does not give up everything. Why? But it's going to an auction. You've seen an auction. People bid on stuff, and whatever the top dollar is, gets it. If a car goes for $10,000 or it goes for $100,000, that car's still sold. Everything gets sold to the highest bidder on that item. Well, they decide to auction off his house, his clothes, everything. And as they begin the auction, Sam and about 50 of the Sons of Liberty show up carrying clubs, smacking them in their hands, and look at the crowd and tell them, anybody makes a bid, I will break your jaw. And the crowd seems to go silent at this point. And as the auctioneer is up front trying to auction everything off, yeah, Sammy got me $100. Well, no, 75. Sam would turn around and go, 1 penny, and get his house back. And then they go, all right, $700 for all these horses. Nobody's going to say anything because Sam will break your jaw if you do. Sam would turn around and go, 1 penny. Dude gets all his stuff back. He gets everything back, and about the total number of taxes collected that year for Boston was like 7 cents. Didn't really work at Sam being a tax collector right there, but you can see Boston, they like this guy. They like this guy. He's their kind of guy right here. I want to go through some of the things that Sam does in his life just real quick. This gives you an idea of him. One day on February 22nd, 1770, he is loaded up a cart full of rotten vegetables and rotten fruit. He is going to take it downtown because they would like to throw it at British soldiers. That sounds like a fun afternoon for Sam and the boys. But on the way downtown, they pass Ebenezer Richardson's house. Ebenezer Richardson, he is the magistrate for the town. That means he's like the mayor guy. He is not well liked in Boston. He is hated in Woburn, Massachusetts. Woburn, Massachusetts, you ready to get sick to your stomach just a little bit? Woburn, Massachusetts, where he was magistrate, he messed up. Are you ready? He got his sister-in-law pregnant and then blamed it on the town's preacher. Did you catch that? First off, shouldn't be fooling around with your brother's wife. Second off, shouldn't have got her pregnant. Blamed it on the preacher. Preacher had nothing to do with it. And whenever they found out he had nothing to do with it, he's blaming the preacher, the town was about to string him up. So he is ran off. He is in Boston. Sam and the boys stop at his house and on the way and think, you know what? Let's throw eggs at his house. Some people egg houses. This is like 1 p.m. They're egging the house at 1 p.m, throwing stuff at it. Ebenezer comes out. He's going to shove at them and then run back in the house. At this point, they decide fruit is not good enough. Let's throw bricks through his windows. They throw bricks through the windows and everything, bust out all the windows. And at this point, Ebenezer pulls a gun out, shoots out the window, and kills 2 of them. That just made Sam mad. Sam is not happy with the British now. So what does he do? The next day, he goes to Governor Hutchinson's house, him and a bunch of the Sons of Liberty. They wait for Governor Hutchinson to leave. And after he leaves to go to work, Sam and the boys kick in the door. And this is my favorite part. Sam, as soon as he goes into the house, he decides, you know what? Need to let him know how I feel. He drops his pants and poops on the floor right at the front entrance. That would be a little disheartening to see if you were the Sons of Liberty. All of a sudden, I bet they went crazy. Your leader just dropped his pants and dropped a growler in the middle of the governor's front door. They then began to tear the house to shreds. They destroy everything in it. The governor comes home. He realizes what's happened. He knows it's the Sons of Liberty. Everybody knows it's the Sons of Liberty. But he puts out a reward for anybody to give information leads toward the arrest. Well, nobody's turning Sam in because that would be stupid. But one of the Sons of Liberty, a man with the last name Atchison, somebody turns him in. They go and arrest Atchison and put him in jail. And you're thinking, uh-oh, he's going to tattle on the Sons of Liberty. Never got that far, because what does Sam do? They go kick in the jail's doors. They go down to the jail and kick in the doors. They grab clubs and they begin to beat the police officers until the police officers tell them who turned Atchison in. They let Atchison out of jail, go to the house of the guy that turned him in, drag him outside, tie him to a tree, and hit him with a whip 40 times on the back. No one ever turned in the Sons of Liberty again after that. Seemed like everybody was golden with that. You're starting to see he's got a little bit of an attitude, and he'll back up what he's going to say. Every stinking time, he will back it up. One day, another story about it. Since he's no longer being tax collector, the new tax collector is a man by the name of Andrew Oliver. Andrew Oliver shows up at his office. First day being a tax collector. What does Sam do? They make an effigy. That's like a big piñata, basically. It's a paper mache replica of what you look like. If they made a paper mache, it would be a paper mache Mr. Nichols. And what do? They go hang them in trees, pee on them, cut their heads off of the paper mache so that you know how they feel about you. So what do? They take a paper mache Andrew Oliver down to his office. They put a noose around it and pull it up in the tree outside his office window so that he can see what he would look like hanging there. I know if I showed up at work and you had a piñata of me hanging up in a tree, first the tree's bent over because that's a heavy piñata. And if you bust it open, there's a lot of candy coming out. Of course, you bust me open, there's a lot of candy coming out too. I'm just saying. So it's a big paper piñata of Andrew Oliver. And he sees this, and Oliver is, oh my goodness, I can't believe they're going to do this to me. He sends for the British Redcoats. The Redcoats show up to take it down, and when they walk towards the tree, the Sons of Liberty circle the tree, 50 of them, saying, you touch that effigy, we'll break your jaw, we will rip your teeth out. I mean, and Sam says that he means it. The soldiers backed down. They left. They were not going to have any of this going down with them. They leave. They go back. Andrew Oliver's scared to death now. He sneaks out of his office and goes home. He lives just shortly away from it, but he goes home because he's scared to death. So what do Sam and the boys do? Yeah, they burn his office to the ground. And so they burn his building down. And then in that point, they thought, you know what? We're going to have a good bonfire going here with his business. And he's not here to see it, so let's take it to him. They grab logs that are charred and burning on one end and drag them to Andrew Oliver's house and build a bonfire in front of his house and bring the effigy with it. And when Andrew Oliver is looking outside his window, a bonfire and all the Sons of Liberty, they behead the effigy in front of him just to let him know how he would feel. He quit being tax collector one day. That's all he needed. They bury another tax collector alive until he decides he's not going to be tax collector. His first day, drag him out, throw him in a hole, start throwing dirt on top of him. Lo and behold, the guy quit his job. So they let him out of the thing. They are ruthless to these guys. They will tar and feather them. That's where you dump burning tar on top of their body, take feathers and throw on them so they look like a big chicken. You first have had burning, boiling tar put on your body. Tar is what they use on roads. Tar will harden pretty quickly. And so it hardens on your body. And if they throw feathers on you, the feathers harden into the tar. Now it's going to take about 2 months for the tar to wear off. So for the next 2 months, you have burnt skin under tar and chicken feathers on the outside. When they started going towards tea and taxing it, Sam and the boys would actually take a jug of tea, not sweet cold tea, hot boiling tea, and dump down their throats to let them know, you want to tax tea? Tax this tea. I can't imagine boiling water being dumped down my throat. Oh my word. But kind of got rid of a lot of tax collectors. They didn't really have a problem with tax collectors. They constantly turning over, new job, new job, new job, new job. They attack the home of tax collectors. There is just one right after another that they just attack, and they're going to do what they want. Let me see if I'll tell you another one real quick. I'll give you one more good one. There is one where he's out walking by himself at night, and he comes across a group of British soldiers. And I've told you at the beginning of the year and everything, they have to have a fire bucket in the house in case there's a fire at night. Well, these 12 soldiers see him, and they begin to chase him. He's running by himself. They're about to catch him and beat the stew out of him. What does Sam do? He runs into a church and starts ringing the bell. That means there's a fire. all the streets empty out, people coming out of their houses, and then Sam's like, those redcoats are giving me trouble. And the entire town proceeded to beat down those British redcoats. And there's a lot of beat downs that these British redcoats are taking from Sam and the boys. So you're starting to get what the Sons of Liberty are. It is literally America's first biker gang is the only way to put it. I'm sure they had their horses lowered and everything, like whinny, 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 whinny. Loud pipes on your, don't put pipes on your horse. Please don't put pipes on your horse. All right, but there you go. All right, there are some of the Sons of Liberty you can see over on your left. That is Paul Revere. Him and Sam Adams actually start the Liberty Kids. It's not just a cartoon, it was an actual thing. And that's where the cartoon gets its name. Oh, by the way, last thing, I forgot to tell you this. Sam Adams actually trained his dog to attack British redcoats. The type of coat they wore, that's what he trained him to attack. And every time he'd let the dog out and the dog would start biting British redcoats. I like Sam. Sam's funny. There is pictures of tar and feather, and you can see what it would look like covered in feathers, hot tea poured down your throat. Now, the next couple things they do, and I'll run real quickly. Quartering Act. This is the first one they do where, honestly, this is the part. I could deal with the Stamp Act. I could deal with the proclamation. I got problems with this one. What the British do, because they're not making money on the stamp tax, they're going to make money for their military another way by making us pay for their military. So what they say is each town has to build an army base to put the soldiers in. That means the town's got to quit working and build an army base for the British. And then we got to use our own stuff to stock it with firewood, bedding, cooking utensils, cider, all these things, candles. That's coming out of my house that I got to give to the British. And here's the deal. If you don't have it ready by the time that date is to have the building ready, they get to take your houses. And what that means, if we got 50 people, 50 soldiers in Monroe County right here, they're going to go to 50 houses that night, knock on the door. When I knock that down. Okay. Knock on the door, and they're going to tell you then, hey, get out of your house. We're sleeping in your house tonight. And I would have to take my wife and children and go to the barn and watch this soldier go into my house, eat my food, go through my stuff, put his feet up on my couch and everything, sleep in my bed under my blankets while my children are shivering in the barn. At this point, I'm a patriot. When you push the Quartering Act and it's not just affecting me, it's affecting my wife and children, you went too far, England. And at that point, there's a lot of patriots coming along. I would have tapped out at the Quartering Act. That was just horrible that they did that to him. Next, last two for today. The Sugar Act, 1765. They tried to put a tax on sugar. It wasn't working on paper. So everybody uses sugar. We get all the sugar from the Caribbean. Remember that? Down with the Spanish and their plantations. And the British are buying it down there for like, let's say, I'm making money up, $1. Bring it up here, sell it for $3 because the boat guy gets $1, the store gets $1, they bought it for $1. So now they're going to jack up the price 3 to 4 times what it's supposed to be. You're going to be paying $10 a bag for sugar. And that's really going to put a hurting on them. Sam and the boys take care of this one. Sam and the boys get some boats, head down to the Caribbean, buy it themselves. And then they come back, and Sam is not about money. Sam don't care. He sells it for what he paid for it. So now, instead of your $3 a bag sugar that they're wanting you to pay $10 for, we bought it for $1, we sold it for $1. People are getting discount sugar. And so the Sugar Act didn't work because Sam and the boys are not going to let that happen. And then the last one today, and then we'll get into more tomorrow with the Townsend Act, 1766, the Declaratory Act. This is a law that says if a British person tells you to do something, you have to do it. Now, here's the thing, that's going to be pushed boundaries. Because if I said today on the loudspeaker, 6th graders have to do everything an 8th grader tells them to do today, there's going to be 8th graders that don't do anything. They just go about their day normally. Just good people. There's going to be some 8th graders make the 6th graders carry their books. But then you've got that jerk. And we all know, people would do that. That they would look at a 6th grader and go, hit yourself, fall on the floor, hit yourself, hit your friend. And they would do things to them just to be mean. When the British soldiers are over here, do you think they've got some jerks too? Yeah. So these people are just walking up, stealing food from people, pushing them around, doing things. And every time you do that, you just made a patriot. I may have been English, and then you stole my food that I'm taking home to my family. I'm a patriot now. And so all these acts that they're trying to do to teach us lessons and put us in our place are making patriots. And that's what's going on. We'll pick up there tomorrow and everything with the Townsend Act. Love y'all. Have a good day.